Good evening, everybody. Welcome to It Takes a Village podcast. We hope everybody's enjoying their day today, enjoying the weekend. We're just thankful to be able to come before you again and drop you some wisdom and knowledge from the village. So, with that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host Ariana.
Blessings, everyone. It's always exciting and a privilege to be in your presence and share this energy, sharing knowledge and resources. I am Ariana. I have the privilege and blessing of serving our community by uplifting nations, helping our youth to encourage their minds as a life coach, poet, and transformational speaker. So I'm excited to share these gifts with you guys today alongside our great host, Pastor Lorenzo Evans, who is not only a pastor, but also a minister visually and verbally to enlighten souls. From plays to short series to books and journals, there is a plethora of knowledge and tools that is communicated through this man. So we are both excited to share our gifts with you today in our village and excited to talk about some good stuff. So what is on the agenda for today? What is it we're feeding the community?
So, first, I want to let them know that we were supposed to have guests, Blessing and Treasure Hunt, and because of illness, she's not really feeling well, and we decided to postpone it to a later date. So we definitely solicited prayers for them. So therefore, we decided that instead of canceling the show, because we already have so much that we can give the community, so we decided we'll go ahead and speak on some things that I think we as a community, as a culture, need to really be more enlightened on, be more forthcoming with information. So today, some of the subjects and topics that we're going to hit on, one is life insurance. Another one is social media and GoFundMe. We just want to just kind of break down these different things and show how we need to be more educated, because so many things are going on and we find ourselves at the last minute scrambling, trying to get it together, trying to make it work, and we shouldn't be like that. We've got to get away from that. So today we just decided we can just have a sit down conversation. And Ariana definitely have a lot of tools and knowledge that she can share, and a lot of things that we're speaking about are things that you can get through her as well. So we definitely want to make sure that the village is covered, because we've got to, as a village, we got to grow strong, and we've got to get better at what we're doing, because we represent kingdom, we represent
Yes.
kings and queens, we come from royalty, so we must live that type of life. And doing that means to be prepared for what's coming up next, because if you don't properly prepare for it, that means that you're leaving that burden on your loved one when you're gone. So it's a hard conversation, but it's a conversation that we must have so we can get a better understanding of what's going on.
Well, I love it. Well, I want to send out blessings to our guests that weren't able to make it. We lift you all up in prayer. We pray that the community, the energy of the village, reaches you in the love and support that is behind you.
Definitely.
So, I'm excited about talking about insurance and social media and the current state of our preparation. I want to comment off of something you just said, because I was just sharing with my home and my household that, when we live in a state of like laziness or sloth like mentality or just dirt, you living in mess, it's peasant life. And we are all born of royalty. And, we are children of the Most High and the kingdom. And with that royalty that has already been blessed and ordained upon you, you should live clean and organized and neat and prepared and ready. And I know this is a topic that many of us are nervous to talk about. I think some people believe that if you talk about it, means like death is going to come for you, like I'm knocking on your door. So you don't want to talk about it. But all of us who anticipate greater, an afterlife, a heaven beyond what we deal with right now, happily ever after, a reincarnate of a new, better life, whatever it is, I believe most people in the village believe that there is greater beyond this present journey. And in that mindset, it would only be but a celebration to celebrate that transition. So I am excited that we are preparing our village for that transition.
Yes, because it's something that cause like we have within the last week, we've dealt with four immediate deaths in the family. One is as lady where this morning my one of my ex sister-in-law, she passed away, and of course she was saved and everything, so we praise God for that. But we always have to wonder why we feel like there's something that we should not talk about. We talk about marriage, we talk about wanting the nice home or the nice job and things, but life insurance is something that is very important. And what we have to get away from, at least for me, I feel like we see on social media when somebody pass away, the first thing they want to do is try to find a way to raise money, or they want to tell this story about their lifestyle, the way the person lived, and how devastated they are that that person is no longer here to provide for them. But we have to get ready and prepare for it, because we're living in a society where it's not just the elderly that's passing away, it's the young people that's passing away, it's the movie stars. It shows that anybody can be called at any minute, because I remember a few years back when Prince passed away, everybody was really shocked by it. And I looked at it and I analyzed it and I said, now, if you think about this, we're talking about Prince. He had his own private plane, his own doctor. He had the best. So he didn't go to no on a corner health clinic, no minute clinic. When he went to the doctor, he went to the best. So we would
I don't even think
assume,
he had to go. They came to him.
right. So we assume that when he's gonna live a good life, he's got all the care. But when it's that time come, for whatever reason, whatever avenue God chooses, when it's your time, it's your time. Now we look at him, and hopefully he had his stuff in order. But we also have learned in the last few years, that a lot of people who are rich and famous, whatever, they pass away, and then we see them trying to raise money to bury them, and it's like, okay, were there never a conversation? So when we speak about gain and wealth and all of that, we've got to speak about the knowledge of having something to take care of us once we leave, because people are always talking about, well, I want to leave a legacy. Leaving a legacy is not financial, it's knowledge.
I like it.
So we have to realize that. I mean, because a lot of people have been left thousands and millions of dollars, but you look at their lifestyle and there's been no proper training. So they living crazy. They in and out of jail, in and out of rehab, or they down of a drug overdose or whatever, because the true legacy is not in the finances, it's in the wisdom. You got to teach. Legacy is teaching people how to survive and how to take care of themselves in the absence of someone having the ability to leave them millions of dollars. So
I'm all about legacy building, guys, and I love that you put it in the fact that it's beyond just the financial. A lot of people look at it, and when we talk about the opportunity with, I know the title says life insurance, there is so much opportunity under the umbrella of life insurance and what you can do with it and how you can really build up your legacy. And it doesn't have to be like where you're stashing money aside, but it is protection for the future. So, and we'll dig into all kind of types. We'll touch on a few, I guess, today. And so that way, our goal is to equip you guys with some knowledge so you can take it and research more and or partner with your trusted professional. You can reach out to me and then start building up a plan to implement these tools in your life. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say one type of insurance that, I will say for me, I feel like it's really important as parents that we also, ensuring our children is also a part of this legacy protection and building. And I just wanted to throw that out there because we sometimes reach to, like you said, the older, and we think you got to be almost what did it say, over the hill or about to kick the bucket to start thinking about it. And it really should be all of us able-bodied adults and thinking about your children and those seeds, because they have a long life ahead of them, God willing, where that insurance and that foundation of protection can really set them up for a solid future, or at least a future that has some tools embedded in it, versus some of us, who had to build these tools. So.
Right. And I think we look at the cost, but if you really think about it, if you take a little bit now, like, cause the younger a person is, the less expensive that their insurance is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get locked in to a rate to where as they get older, then they can take over, but it's not something that's so overwhelming that you're thinking, wow, I can't afford that. But what they don't understand is that if you don't do it until you look up and then somebody passes away, now you got to try to find money. It's going to set you back even further, because now you got to try to pay for them. You got to set other stuff aside that you would normally be taken care of. You got to say, do I want to help bury them? Do I want to pay my rent? Do I want to do this, that? Or you may even have to send funds to help that situation in lieu of going to the service.
Yeah.
Because you may think, wow, instead of me paying, a $500 or $600 plane ticket, or rent a car and then a hotel, where maybe I'll take that $1,000 and send it to, for that person to be buried. So it has so many effects that we don't think about, because we just have not been properly trained in the area of finances, so that we don't encompass the fact that we need life insurance. We need to prepare for the future, and not just for living in the future, but when that time comes and you're no longer going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to do that. And social media, I guess, and the reason I say social media is because we see a lot of stuff on social media that when we was coming up, we would not have seen. We wouldn't have known, that it took 3 years before James Brown was able to be buried properly because of them fighting over the money. Again, not properly planning and having things in order. Or I think Aretha Franklin, she just got her stuff settled not too long ago. And, these are people who with the money to have someone to go and say, look, make sure this is taken care of.
A lot of times it's not about the money, my people. It is about us sitting down and taking on the task of getting it done. And I think that is one of the messages we want to make sure the village hears today, is that this is us proactively stepping into the future we want. And you have to act. Because Lorenzo's mentioned, there's a number of celebrities who had the resources to do it, but just never took the action to properly do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's sad, because it shouldn't be that way. But again, if you don't understand it, and I think now we have so many what I call microwave celebrities. So they're unknown. They go do a reality show or something happened, and all of a sudden now they got all of this money, and they don't know what to do with it. I remember, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Antoine Dodson, I think was his name. And he was the one that they broke into the house, his sister's house, and everybody laughed at him because he was talking about hide your wife, hide your
okay.
Yeah, and people laughed at that, and they really thought that, well, this guy's just somebody to laugh at, he's got this little hype on social media. But he took that little bit of fame and fortune, and now he has a lot of money. He's got a clothing store. He's got other deals and stuff, because he said, I took all of that little bit of recognition and I put it into money and finances to secure my future and to bring my people out of the neighborhood that we was in. So just that little bit, but see, it wasn't about fame and fortune. He said, I want my life to represent something more than just a meme on social media or whatever, more than just a joke. And I applaud him, because he had a lot of stuff that he got out of just that couple of minutes. And when he was doing it, he was just saying how he felt. Like, this guy must be really stupid to do what he did. He really, he was just being himself, but he was able to take that instead of making it a joke and a negative and make money out of it. I think as a matter of fact, he had a small part in one of Tyler Perry's movies.
That's cool.
But he took that, and he had wisdom, and he utilized that in order to better himself. So we have to understand that even when it comes to social media, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, but we can't allow social media to be the replacement for properly taking care of our future. That can't be the new life insurance. I have nothing against GoFundMe, but that shouldn't be the go-to. And
Like for me personally, if I'm not here to execute the task, I'm not going to rely on GoFundMe to make sure I'm buried properly.
right. It just doesn't make sense. But I think we're a society that we have got so captivated by social media that it almost seemed like the norm. That hey, well, something happened,
I
GoFundMe.
should be starting businesses on GoFundMe and the other sponsor apps and social. That's how we should be using social media to expand the platform, the legacy, to expand it. But to start it up and plant them seeds, every one of us have the tools that we need right now to start planting seeds where they need to be. Hey, Regina, thanks for joining. Miss Anita.
And I think that's what the crowd fundraising. I think that's what it was started for. GoFundMe at first was people who had ideas and they pitched it to people, and then people started using it for other things, and now it's just it doesn't make sense.
To be clear, we are not talking about situations that are unexpected and you need support. I'm all for opportunity for the village to support. But what we want to make sure is that when we have the opportunity to be proactive and to support our dreams, that we do that. And like we mentioned, let me go back because I said unexpected. I want to just once again hit on ensuring our children and our future, because there have been a number of times that we've heard about child obesity or child cancer or child diabetes. These are our children are experiencing traumatic, health impactful situations and stages in their body, right? And with that being said, the more that your body is being pulled on, those insuring you are going to be like, it's a little worn down. It's just like your car. If it's a little worn down, I'm not going to give you as much coverage and support because it's already worn down. So having children, and when they're first born, honestly, is the prime time to begin insuring them. The cost is very minimal, and you are able to make sure they're covered completely with a great plan that lasts them forever. So they'll be able to have built revenue in that to where they can pull from it in their adult life, maybe buying their first car, buying their first house. And you've contributed by putting $15 away a month. I have insurance for my children, and the most that it was, I think I paid $25 for the two of them. That's the two plans together, it was like $25. So my people, we can do this. There's also like $1 million baby plan where if you put, depending on the, inflation and our taxes and things like that. But the idea is you can start putting away funds when they're first born, very minimal. And by the time they become in their adult life, that policy will be worth $1 million. So you've made your child to be a millionaire instead of serving them the McDonald's every month.
Right. And that's what it is. I mean, we've got to where I think we're so caught up in looking like we have these finer things and we don't. I mean, you want to go out and get the latest Jordans or the latest, PS, PlayStation, whatever. And all these things are nice if you have other things already taken care of. But the things that you wear should not be more expensive than the care that you take for yourself. And we see a lot of that. And it's time out for us to really sit back and say, do we really need that latest game or that latest shoe? I think it was Shaq that had a multi-million-dollar deal with one of the shoe companies, and he was out shopping, and somebody was belittling him because they said, I can't believe all the money you have that you're charging people so much for your shoes. And Shaq was like, what are y'all talking about? Because he, a lot of times they make these endorsements, get the money, they don't really pay attention to it. And he said after he thought about it, he went and called them and he canceled his contract. He said, because I just can't have that type of people looking at me like I'm trying to take money from them. He said, so I want to make sure I'm making a shoe that everybody can afford with the same quality.
Same quality. I love that because we are all royalty. Yes.
Right. So it's just so many things like that that we have to understand, that we can see, that we can do, that it's not always all about the money, because in all actuality I personally feel, because of the fact that he did that, that's another way of planting seed, and he's more blessed because he's given more, even though he's receiving less, which means that from God he will receive the best. So we got to understand how things work, and it's not always about that money that you get from man, but the blessing that you get from God. So, we got to teach our kids about finances. We got to teach our kids about covering themselves, and we got to teach them about being led by wisdom and knowledge, and not by social media.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, most definitely.
so yeah, we've got to, and like Annette said, we got to make plans for the future. I mean, whether you plan for it or not, it's going to come. So somebody's going to have to take care of it. So why not take care of it yourself? And I think it's just so much going on that we have to understand that, like I said, when we was coming up, we didn't hear about young people having cancer. We didn't hear about young people, having diabetes and stuff. A lot of that stuff, I remember it was a lady when I grew up that had diabetes, and she had some complications from it. But it was such a rare thing that I really did not even understand it, because I'm like, what's diabetes? I had no clue of what it was. And for years, as a culture, we joked about it by saying you got the what they call, you're diabetical, or you got the sugar. But it's really not a joke when you really think about it. We need to start looking at this stuff and saying, hey, that's not something to joke about. And like you were saying, unexpected things. We didn't have COVID when I was coming up. I mean, we had the shots that we had to take for to be
mumps and rebellion.
Yeah, stuff like. And we did it in
The
school.
measles are coming back under attack too.
Huh?
They say the measles, one of those viruses that they stopped vaccinating for a while back, is starting to come back full effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. But see, we didn't have to worry about it. But see, now we've got COVID, we've got monkeypox, we've got mass shootings. So now we have so many different things that's not controllable, that you have to be ready for it. I mean, we just never even thought about that. We went to school and we came home and we did what we had to do, and that was it. But now you go to school, you hear something on the news, you have to pray that it wasn't your child's school. Yeah. Or you hear somebody at the movie, you hope that wasn't the theater your friend went to. I mean, so we have to always be prepared, because unfortunately we live in a society where things happen that we can't control.
And guys, the signs are posted right on these building doors now, because no one's taking responsibility for you but you. It says, we are not responsible for death if you contact COVID in this facility. So we're in a season now where it's up to us to protect ourselves, which is perfectly fine, because we are able-bodied to, how to, you are the best one equipped and skilled to, and blessed to. And so that's why we're here. We're going to tell you about all that good stuff. Papa Zoe, you talked about not making sure your materials are valued more than yourself, pretty much. And I just want to mention, you guys, another concept of insurance is that if there are some items that are very special to you, for me, it's my composition notebooks. Like, somebody else might see it and be like, you get those for $2 at the store. But if something were to happen to me and my composition notebooks got thrown away, I would come back to get my books. There's a purpose behind it. There's stories that haven't been told in there, in my mind. And so for me, that's something that is important for my child to have, even if they just want to flip through it and read it and feel my energy again. It could be something that simple. It could be a pair of tennis shoes, that's your first pair of tennis shoes that you ever got, and you kept it and motivated you. You didn't bronze them, but they're there. It's something that you desire, that is of value to you, that someone else can't put $1 on. you can use your insurance to protect that, to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
Under certain policies, you're able to do that where that item is able to be passed down as something protected under your estate. So just another plug of how beneficial insurance can be and the different variations of how you can use it.
Definitely, because if you have something that's valuable to you, and you know, I'm glad you brought that up because we hear about that too. You know, maybe something happened in the apartment complex burned down or something, and they was like, well, we didn't have insurance. You know, they may have the renter's insurance. I mean, the renter may have insurance over their building, but you don't have insurance for your personal stuff, or it may be a home, or you know, even a car. You're in a car accident, and then you don't have no insurance to cover yourself or the person. And so, these are things that are life-changing situations. So why not stack the deck in your favor?
I like that. Stack it in our favor.
Because life is hard as it is. I mean, it's so much unexplained, so much unexpected. So, and you know, it's funny because as I think as a people, we have got away from learning about our culture, our past, our history, our wisdom, our knowledge. We just kind of take what we see for face value. And I remember, I think it was Kevin Hart that was saying that he used to always call his mom when he was struggling, "Mom, I need money." And she's like, "Well, have you read your Bible?" And he's like, "You know, Mom, I don't need the Bible right now." And so he kept going on and on. So finally he said he was so frustrated. I was like, "Mom, you don't understand. I got an eviction notice. They get ready to kick me out. And you keep saying read your Bible." And she was like, "Well, just read your Bible." So he said finally he was at home. He had nothing else to do. So he said, "I'm getting ready to get kicked out. I might as well pick up this Bible so I can call and say, 'Look, Mom, I read the Bible.'" It was mother or grandmother. We said, "Look, I read the Bible. Now where you get the money?" And he said when he opened up the Bible, all these checks and stuff start falling out of his Bible that she had placed in there. She was saying that it's right there before you. You just had to read to realize, and all you had to do was just pick it up and start flipping through the pages. So he said he learned a valuable lesson that reading is knowledge, and you just never know the power. And it was just a simple fact. She was trying to show him read. It's so
and that Bible
information is power.
Boy, you speaking my language now. I am all about communication. Those of you that know me know I love to be called the communication queen because communication is everything. And a lot of us don't pick up a book to read. So there's a lot of knowledge and power that we are passing by. But don't worry, y'all. If you can begin to follow me, I will enlighten and uplift you and elevate you. No. But you know, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because your conversation is your passport to where you're going in life.
Oh,
and I was looking at a clip of this movie, and the lady went in, and it was way back in the day, and she said, "I want to register to vote," and they said, "Well, you can't unless you pass the test." Because back in the day, as Black people, we had to pass a test before we can register to vote. The first time she said, "Oh, you didn't pass the test," so she threw it away. Second time she threw it away, you didn't pass the test. So the third time she said, "Well, will you at least give me the questions, let me know what I didn't get right?" And she said, "No, I'm not going to do that." So she came back the next time and she said, "Here's the test." And she said, "Well, what's the other paper?" She said, "Oh, I got a copy of it this time." And she said, "If I don't pass, I want to know. And if you don't give me the answers, well, I'll go to my attorney, and my attorney will make sure I find out what I did wrong." So then she rushed to the back, and the manager came out and said, "Oh, we don't want no problems. Go ahead and let her pay her money." But it was just that she realized that I have to go in and let them know I know my rights. I know what I'm talking about. When you go in and you are secure in who you are and you're confident, people are going to treat you differently. Just like if a woman goes to a mechanic and if she go in and say my car ain't running right, they're gonna give you all this stuff that's possibly wrong because they think you don't know. But when you go in and say, "Look, I've already checked the oil, I already checked this, my transmission is good, I know my brakes are good," and when you speak, like, "Oh, well, this is not a dummy," well, ma'am, this is all you need because they know you know your stuff. So when you begin to speak, especially in business, people are waiting to see how much you know so they know how much they can get over. But when they see that you're on the same level of communication, well, then they're gonna give you the same benefits because they know they can't pull one over on you.
Yes. You know, I want to. We talk about. I like that story. protecting ourselves and having the knowledge behind it. That's what insurance does for us. It allows you to present yourself with the support and protection behind it. You know your rights. There's an insurance called long life insurance. So, I mean, if you're not preparing for death, then I'm assuming you're preparing to live long. And that means for some of us who get blessed to live to 100 and in our later stages where our days are filled with rest and peace, you need a caregiver. You might need somebody to fix your food. You might need support and just entertainment from the day. You might just need company, a companion. That may cost money, depending on how many resources and friends and family you have around. But even in that concept, it is a lot to take on the care of an elderly person. And in that means it's a transition for that person, their way of living, their routine, their behaviors now have to be adjusted to whomever's taking that care. That person's stresses and responsibilities and weight is now affected by one another, right? And so in the concept, you can choose to, you want it to be your choice. You don't want family and friends and kids to be picking and choosing where you land, who you stand with, what nursing home you end up in, which one you don't end up in, what facility you have to get stuck into. All of those choices are things you want to be able to control. You want to protect the last days of your life to live as heaven on earth. Because again, you are royalty and you deserve that. If you have worked so hard all of your life in this entire journey, running this race, why do you need to keep running and crawling when God has given you the time to just rest and float in these last days? So let's do that. Long life insurance is another key component to look into when you think about that.
But that's good too, because I've heard people say that they don't want to go to the doctor because of the doctor bill, and sometimes because they have a good job that pays well, but they don't have insurance. I would never work a job that does not have insurance because it is so important to have that. But if you're in a situation,
honestly, y'all, that's the only reason. If your job does not give you insurance, why are you at that job?
Right.
You should be an entrepreneur, period. You should be working for yourself.
Right. It's the same difference.
Yeah. You're going to sacrifice not having no protection and they can fire you tomorrow and you stuck out there. Go do it on your own.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so much that we need to understand, because if you're in a situation where you say, well, I don't want to go to the doctor because of the bill, well, now you're not going to the doctor to get the medicine you need or the help you need. So you can pay extra because now you can be forced to go to the doctor because you're in ill health. So we know that there's certain foods that we should not indulge in every day, all day. We know that if this body is certain food that we shouldn't be eating. So certain things we shouldn't do. So even that is part of preparation. You only get one body. So why not allow it to live as long as you are alive?
Boy, get that temple clean. It is time for house cleaning and your temple is in need of it. Pull out the weights. The heavier that our temple is, like I said, the more strain and it's being pulled and worn out. So your insurance company is like, you got this, that existing condition, bruh. Can you clean some stuff up? The same thing you would be if you walked into a dirty house or if a friend tried to invite you over to come and eat and stuff is looking like, we don't want that. So y'all, we have to, when we talk about insurance, as you can see, I'm passionate about it. And living royal, again, the concept of cleaning house, cleaning and preparing. And this temple needs to be clean. It'll allow you time to be heard, to hear the spirit, to cleanse it out. So I'm all about that fasting and stuff. We won't get on that topic because it can talk a lot. But I do have another plug about insurance. For all of those, in the chat, if you're watching, put a heart. If you are a single parent, you could be a single mother, you could be a single father, and you can just be a single, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. But if you have to be a guardian over a child, it is a suggestion that I make to all those folks that are single or separated, or even if you're not, because it is important to have coverage on your children and their other parent. Hear me out. those of you, and I'm talking about my folks out there. If you have a baby daddy and a baby mama, you should get some insurance on them, because it will be and has been up to you to take care of those little ducklings. So when they, God forbid, have a life situation, something that happens, it could be anything. We don't know, mass shootings, active threat situations. It could be anything nowadays. COVID. What happens? Like right now, you may be getting the support. You may not. They may be ghosts. But if they truly disappear from this earth, you are truly on your own. And with life insurance over them, you will be able to get the support, protection, and coverage your child deserves without you having to be without. The good thing about that process is you can set it up. You can put the funds into it every month. If they're under 50, it's minimal, $25 to $50 a month. If they're over 50, we'll talk about that. But the concept is that that's your insurance on them. They never touch it. They have no rights to it because that is your insurance policy on them. So if something happens, you now have coverage for your child. So now your child is taken care of even while they're not there. So another plug, get your spouse and partners or ex-partners covered who you have children with.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you look at things that happen, it's amazing that you learn so much. Because I remember my brother, he passed away, and his wife, she passed away a few years before he did, and the whole time they were together, life was good. They had a lot of stuff. I knew BJ was always the one that she said, no matter what happened, things are taken care of. And I never really, I ain't pay attention to it because I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. So they had got separated, and he lived in the house, and they got the other house they had. They decided, okay, we ain't gonna pay for it. I ain't gonna pay for it. You ain't gonna pay for it. So the house went into bankruptcy. Because neither one of them made payments, and they was going into foreclosure. And so this went on for a couple of years, and then she passed away. So unbeknownst to us, they still had a good relationship. So when she passed away, he gets a phone call, and it said, oh, we just want to let you know that the house is no longer in foreclosure because when she passed away, the house was paid off. So he got the house, and he got the life insurance from her, and she said she had a pension from the state because she worked for the state. And they said as long as you live, you would get a check once a month because of the fact that that's how she had to set up. But she had properly prepared for every scenario. A lot of people was upset because it's like, well, why did she do that when they wasn't together? It was because you don't know her mindset. She felt like that was the best thing to do. And I said, if we all thought about that and looked at her, she had everything covered. If she passed away, the house is paid for, the cars is paid for. And I'm like, who does that? But she's always been that type that always had all bases covered. She said, I would never be caught off guard. And we need to have that mentality of no matter what's going on in life, we still got everything covered. Because she could have been one of those that said, well, since we're not together, I'm going to cancel the insurance because my oldest brother had life insurance. Well, when he started going through a divorce, his new to-be wife canceled his life insurance, started another life insurance. Well, when he passed away, they said, we're sorry you have not been insured long enough to collect anything. And since you haven't been paying on the old policy, you get nothing.
Yep. That's the thing about policies, guys. You can't, it's like your stocks. You want to keep the longer, the better. The more invested in the pot, the bigger the pot is, the more the insurance company is there to support, cover, and be there for you based off of the policy. And when you break and stop and I can't pay it now because, between my nails getting done, $50 for my nails and $50 for my insurance this month, it ain't going to work for me. When you start making those type of sacrifices and cuts, it will hurt you in the long run because the longevity and consistency is not there. I know that I want to speak to my younger people. I know that the millennials, and we're in the new season of where you guys are in control of the job market. I'll be a part of that. We're in control of the job market. We are entrepreneurs. We are driving into the future that we desire. So we're jumping from job to job because it's that atmosphere and that climate. But there are still things that do require us to be consistent, to be steady, and to be committed. And insurance is one of those. It will pay off the longer that you have it. So it is something that you are taking on as an opportunity to prepare for your future. It is something you do now for the future you want. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's things that we need to understand. I mean, it's almost like when you think of insurance. I mean, people jump from job to job, but they don't pay attention to, if I leave this job, what about my insurance? Do the next, how long does it take for me to get coverage under my old job? So those are things that we need to look into and understand. It's almost like if you're driving your automobile and you let your insurance lapse. I've heard when they had the court cases and they say, well, I got insurance, and they say, well, when did you get the insurance? Well, I got it 2 days after the accident. It doesn't matter. You didn't have it when you hit the accident. And what about the vehicle of life? If you're not covered and you have that accident to take you out, it's unfortunate, but you got to now go to social media and see. Here's the thing that what I don't like about the GoFundMe thing. GoFundMe, unfortunately, is driven by your popularity of who knows you and who doesn't. Because I've seen people who are in the media and they'll say through the news, well, if you want to contribute, go to this GoFundMe page, and overnight they get thousands of dollars because people know the story, people have heard about it. But then if you're somebody that nobody know, people gonna look and they may like, well, I don't know that. They may not even see your page. So you sitting there, you wondering, and I've seen people who have a GoFundMe page, and I'm a firm believer after 2 or 3 days, if you still have not received any funds, you need to take it down, because the longer it's up there with no money being contributed, the less people are going to give. Because now they see a situation that everybody looking at saying, well, nobody really care about that. Why should I give my $25 when you're trying to get, 25,000? My 25 is not going to make a difference.
Oh, interesting.
So I've seen people that take it down and then they put it back up, or they take it down and have somebody else put it back up. So I mean, there's so many.
You have to strategize all that, y'all. Put it into your insurance planning. Do you see the story before when you were prepared, protected to the detail? When you start preparing, you have time to think about the scenarios. Like, I just bought a house. Now, what about my house being paid off? I want to add to it. There is what's called a trust. That is an option. It's like an extension of insurance. And as you expand your knowledge and do your research, a trust is a beautiful thing. And one of the things is, in this world that we live in, it's very few that you can trust, that you can put your life in their hands, your children's future in their hands, your home, your ownership, your possessions, your being, and feel and know that it is going to be handled the way you expect it to be, that your voice will be heard. We talked about communication, and it's important that your voice is heard. When you're building your legacy, you know what the plans are. You see the vision. You can see the project, but others can't see it if you haven't laid out and write it and make it plain to what you expect and how you want it to be executed when you're gone, or when your children grow up. How that trust and that umbrella will protect them, buying houses in their name, building up their brand and platform for them in this trust umbrella that nobody can touch. You can build a bank for your family to have a legacy where you and your children can tap into that and borrow funds. Become your own lender. Do not be slave to the lender because you are indebted to others in this taskmaster society that we live in. You have the tools and power to protect and prepare yourself. And a trust is one of those ways to do that under that life insurance umbrella. So make sure you take some time to research and look into it, because that is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the whole thing is. It's a trust fund. That means that whoever you are leaving as the head over that, you trust them to do the right thing. So we have to do it with a clear mind and not our heart, because our heart is not going to always lead us to the right person. You have to say, is this person going to do the right thing? Will this person make sure everyone is taken care of so that there's no confusion? It have to be someone who's not money hungry. You have to be someone who's able to say that, you know what, I want to make sure that your child have the best, or your people have the best, or that your business continue going. It's it's sad. And I mean, and these are situations I've seen when I was younger that I didn't really pay attention to because it wasn't really relevant. But I used to go to the thrift store all the time, and I went there, and this lady was talking, and she said that it was some really nice stuff in there, and I was looking at it, and I was just talking about how nice it looked and how how you come across with such a large amount of stuff. And she said that when these rich people passed away, they had a son and a daughter, and the daughter normally ran everything and made sure everything was done right, but the son had a substance abuse problem. So the daughter went in the hospital, and by proxy, since she was sick, he got gain of everything. So while she was in the hospital, he sold everything in the house for like I think it was $30,000 or $40,000. And the lady said, and of course, the people are not gonna say, "Oh, we ain't gonna, we don't want to see that happen." They gonna take advantage of you. And she said just one or two items in that house, some of the items by themselves were worth $20,000 or $30,000. But he wanted to make sure that he got that little bit of money, and they had thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And they said some of the stuff they said they wasn't even going to sell because it was too valuable. They wanted to hold on to it. So,
because the longer you hold on to some materials, it gains its value too. That longevity makes a difference, y'all.
Right. And so when you're leaving that person, I mean, even though it sounds like people saying, well, that's kind of morbid, no, have a plan B. Have something set so if that something happens to that person that you left in charge, it doesn't default to someone who you did not want to be in charge.
Yeah, and that's a great intro to the topic of the beneficiaries. You all we want to make sure that we do appoint those that, like Lorenzo said, that can be trusted in executing your instruction. And the beautiful about it, another beautiful thing, is that you can have more than one, and you can split it. You can split it amongst three, and they all have a percentage of responsibility or say so over your estate or your policy or whatever it may be that you have set up. So a beneficiary is an important responsibility that you make sure you want to communicate that to the person, what you expect, how you trust them, and what you're leaving in their trust. An open dialogue and communication is important, that you feel they have retained the information and understand the responsibility that you're putting in their care. Don't just put it on paper and then one day they sit down and they find out that the beneficiary. And a lot of us are still working through the flesh on this heaven on earth. And with that, you don't know the state that they're going to be in. They may have been in the same state of Kevin Hart and sold the Bible for $10, not knowing there was over $1,000 worth of checks available in there. So, yes, beneficiaries, you can have more than one.
Yeah, well, we have to know. I mean, it's just little small things like that that's very valuable if we understand it. And we're not speaking against anybody who may have a bad situation. We're just saying educate yourself so that you're in the best position to get the best out of life. Because we all do things that we shouldn't do, and we all go through things. But we are saying that we need to be more focused on life, be more focused and intentional with what we're doing.
Yes. Agreed. So we talked about coverage. Oh, you talked about morbid. And when I was talking about the coverage of like your baby daddy's baby mama, your ex partner that you have children with, it's not, I want to be clear, I'm not encouraging you to do that with additional plans to receive funds from the insurance right away. It is just something to have. So if it occurs or later in life when you're not able, and you may need some help in caring for the children, your kids are taken care of. But yeah,
I mean, and because but you see, these are things that people on the other side of the other culture, they do these type of things all the time, and it's a business decision.
Yes,
it's not personal, But I say we are so far disconnected from those type of things because we feel like, well, we don't want to look this way or that way. But you have to plan. I mean, it takes two people to create a person, so it should take two people to make sure that person is of age to where they can take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's just life. I mean, I don't understand why we still have that stigma of, well, I don't want nothing from him, or I don't want nothing from her, or I don't want. No, it's not even about that. It's the best interest of your child. So when we speak of life insurance, we speak of insurance, we speak of making sure that everything is taken care of, so that you
Mhm.
don't find yourself in a situation where now you're hoping that people will read your story and say, "Oh, well, let me send something," or
Some
let
money.
me. And even if you have the greatest story and a lot of people see it, that's only going to be for a moment. You can have insurance that will take care of you for the rest of your life.
Boy.
You can have insurance that's put in place that's going to continue. The concern of people is only going to last. It's only going to be short lived. Then you right in the bottom with the rest of the people. So we're just saying, make sure that you do lifelong decisions if you want to live a long life, so that you'll be prepared for it.
Big lifelong decisions to live a long life. Yes, y'all.
Mm,
Yes.
definitely.
There was something. Oh, we talked about those that have to go to GoFundMe for the burial portion of their transition. Just to be clear, there are separate coverage that you can have just for the burial part. So let's say you don't care about being protected in your life if you get hurt and can't work. We'll talk about that. But let's say you just want to focus on coverage because you're blessed enough to where your mom and dad got all that, or your husband or spouse took care of all that. And they have coverage that just is for the burial. There are some companies and some policies that have like a whole concierge service where they will take care of setting up the arrangements, getting the casket, and you still have input, you still set up, you get to actually pick all this. So when you pass away, everything's picked out beautifully for you. And all they do is just partner with your loved ones to tell them the time, the day, and the details. So it can be that beautiful and organized. You can focus on insurance coverages that focus on living long and healthy, where you're going to live, what your provider will be as far as like food, nursing. Do you want to live lavishly in your nursing home, or do you want to live with family and have independent care? You also have coverage that can help you right now in our current state. And that means if you are able bodied, and some of us aren't, you can still get coverage right now that will take care of your current life. If you were to get hurt or injured tomorrow, what would happen? What about those of us who got hit with COVID in the last 2 years who aren't able to work, or their work abilities have been drastically changed? I know a number of people who thought they had slight headaches or minor issues with their breathing or their nose and smell after dealing with COVID, and now have lifelong implications that they now have to adjust and deal with. What if it was something major where you no longer can even keep a job because you have bad headaches, or your body isn't able to push out like it used to? After 2 hours of moving and maneuvering, you're exhausted. It could be a number of things that we don't know. We've talked about the unexpected. There's coverage that will come in and step into place and begin to pay and cover you monthly so you can live and take care of your living expenses. We've heard of Aflac. You can get your own Aflac. You don't have to worry about the duck, but you could choose a duck. Just know that you have a choice and you have the power and the royalty, the resources to do this. So this is an encouraging session for you. After this, we hope that you guys take a moment and just really look into, like, what does my life need right now? Like, where do I start? That'd be my first question. So we always want to start with protecting things. What is, if it stopped, that things would fall into shambles? Is it your income? Then you need to protect your living expense, your living. You need that type of protection. So if you get hurt, if it's something that where you have revenue flowing in and you don't have to do nothing, it's just like residual income just coming in, trying to be like you, and you don't worry about work. And let's say you just need insurance to start you starting new with children, building your family, and that's your focus. Or let's say you're a single guy who's living the life, you are upcoming actor living down in Hollywood or wherever, and you don't have cares or weights or responsibilities that you need to attend to. And all you really want to make sure is that you're buried lavishly and have the best funeral ever, and everybody coming to celebrate this homegoing because you don't want people crying. You want it to be a certain type of a celebration. All of that is there for you. So those are the type of things to think about. Like, what is important to you? What is of value tomorrow if it's gone, or if you're gone? What does your tomorrow look like? What message do you want your family and your friends to see and remember of you? So hopefully that's a good suggestion or tip that you guys can take on how to start and where to go with identifying what you need and what type of insurance is best for you?
Right. We're just trying to strengthen the village because knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we grow, the further we can go. So we just have to get to that point where we're not scared to learn something new. If what you're doing have not worked and you're already in a situation, why is it gonna hurt to try something different? We have to open up our minds to receive, because if not, you'll find yourself in a situation and there's nothing worse than sitting on the front of the pew saying, wow, I wish I'd have did this, or I wish I'd have did that, or I know that they wanted this but we couldn't do that. We You don't want to go to that, because that's something that will follow you, because
Hmm.
you can't change it. Once it's done, it's over with.
Hmm.
It's nothing. So I just say that we know, I tell everybody all the time, we all always pray and try to live a life that we can, at the end of the day, when that period come to our sentence, that we can go on to be with Jesus and start a whole new chapter. But regardless, you can't go that way. You can't get there until death knocks at your door. So we just want to make sure when it not, that we can properly answer it and have everything taken care of.
I like that. Because
So
death is going to come knocking. There's some things that's consistent in this world. It is change and death. So we should really
right.
be looking at it as something to prepare and to be, ready for. So yeah. So anything you think we need to leave with our village? We covered quite a few things about different types of insurance that's out there to kind of encourage you guys with some things to look into. If you don't have insurance connection, I feel like those of you that are obedient to the Spirit, one will come your way. There will be a connection, a resource, a number, something that will pop up. Compare, research, look into what fits your budget. And if you don't have a budget yet, reach out to me. I can help you with that.
Right, and that's the thing I want to leave you with, to let them know that Ariana is a good source of information. She can give you the tools, direct you on the right path. So, and when we're doing this, it's not as a monumental gain. We want our village to be strengthened. We want our village to be okay. We want our village to be self-standing, so that people can look at us and say, "Oh, they got it together." Because that's where we come from. We come from having it all together. So now we're trying to piece it back together, so that we can let people know, oh, we okay, we got this, we can do this, because we have, like I said, everything that we need, we've already been given. It's up to us to get the tools and utilize them. And we no longer have to be afraid of having that conversation, because it's better to have that conversation when you're able to laugh and joke about it and make suggestions, than when you're on that bed and you breathing through a machine, and you can't have understand, you can't have speak, you're not really sure what's going on. That's the worst time to have that conversation, because your emotions are running rapid. Everybody's upset, and nobody really want to talk about it now, because they just want to spend the time they can with you, laughing and joking. So talk about it while you can, before you have to talk about it when you have to.
Mm-hmm.
So
for all of us out there in the village that are picking up the baton, or the task of being responsible and adulting and taking action steps, I just want to encourage you guys and remind you guys that it is not one step that is going to get it done in. So don't feel discouraged if you try to dig into it and it was a lot of information, you don't know where to start, or it takes a couple of follow-ups and checkbacks and research. That is fine. Just keep checking off the boxes and keep moving to the next step until you find a policy that fits what you need right now, and make a plan for how to add in the next ones. Or you decide to incorporate a budget so you can get to the point of having a policy. All of those steps are beautiful in your journey of life and preparing and becoming royal, or stepping back into your royalty. So excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm encouraging them. She's rooting for y'all.
And that's why we say it takes a village, and that's why we created the podcast, so that we can help each other and reach out, because there's so much information that we each have that we can help to build the other. and we can get away from that crowd mentality of trying to pull each other down instead of push each other out. Because believe it or not, it takes more energy to pull someone down than it does to push them up. Because when you're pushing them up, you're exercising your power and you're giving them the strength to pull you up as they go up. So we gotta quit. We gotta get together. We gotta keep moving forward. Because we're too great to not walk in greatness. So that's our show for today. Again, we just wanted to just give you some information. Again, we do definitely solicit the prayers for Blessing and Treasure Hunt. They definitely going to be on the show. They've got a lot of good information, and I can't wait to be able to have them on as guests. But we know things happen, so we definitely wanted to, send our prayers their way and our concern, and I'll be reaching out to them later on to, get an update, see how things are going and everything. So, and with that being said, again, this is the Takes a Village podcast. This is Pastor Lorenzo Evans and communication queen Ariana Turner. And like I said, she have information that would definitely help you out. You definitely want to reach out to her to get more information, and it's going to benefit you. It definitely will. So
until next time, Village, we wish you many blessings.
And have a good day. Be blessed, and just remember, it takes a village, and we're just trying to bring back the village concept. So y'all have a good day, and we'll look forward to seeing y'all next time.